Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, taking our first look at a 2023 NFL mock draft for the Washington Commanders. This has been a really fun team to kind of take a look at. I think there's multiple ways for them to go with that 16th overall pick and how they kind of address this draft in full. Before we get into it, though, again, I just want to say thank you to you guys. Y'all know I have a blast making these videos, talking about these college prospects that we've gotten the film on, that we've gotten our notes on. It's been a blast talking with you guys in terms of how you want this team to look. What kind of players do you want to address? What positions do you guys want to address? You guys teach me a lot. And again, if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. But more importantly, let me know in the comment section how you think the draft went. Even if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. Let's talk some ball. It's been a blast for me talking and learning with all you guys. So again, appreciate the support. Without further ado, let's get into this mock. And here's my take on the 16th overall pick, and I want to start with kind of asking the Commanders fans a question. How y'all feel about quarterback? I've seen some mocks where the Commanders trade up for a quarterback. I've seen some mocks where Will Levis falls to 16. Do I think either of those two will happen? Probably not. My take on this draft is Bryce Young and CJ Stroud go 1 and 2. I don't think there's a quarterback that's worth trading up into the top 10 to go get. Looks like Anthony Richardson will go 4. Will Levis is a guy that I don't know if I'm giving up my future. We've talked about this a lot, right? Will Levis is kind of a lottery ticket. He's got a lot of traits that you like. You see the howitzer arm. He's a big body. He's a phenomenal athlete, but he's also struggles with accuracy. He struggles working from a pocket, kind of manipulating, stepping up into a pocket. There's so many things that he needs to work on to be an NFL caliber quarterback. That are you comfortable mortgaging your house and your future first round pick to get up into the top 10 to take a guy like Will Levis? Personally, I'm not, but I would love to hear what the Commanders fans think. And again, with a guy like Bieniemy coming in, you want to hit on a very talented quarterback because you saw what Bieniemy could do with one of the better quarterbacks in the league with Patrick Mahomes. And again, you look at this Commanders offense, it's extremely talented. I just think you want to address the trenches a little bit. So getting into the 16th overall pick, though, couple ways you could go. Now, I see a lot of mock drafts where the cornerbacks go. If a guy like Joey Porter Jr., Christian Gonzalez, and Devin Witherspoon are not there at 16, I don't see how you can take a cornerback. Guys like Emmanuel Forbes, Deonte Banks, I like those players. I don't like them inside the top 32, right? And you take a look at this depth at that cornerback spot. I think there are so many good cornerbacks you can get in day 2 with those picks 47 and 97 that you don't necessarily need to reach on a guy like Deonte Banks or Emmanuel Forbes, right? Hodges Tomlinson's a guy like Eli Ricks, Julius Brents, Keely Ringo. These are all starting quality cornerbacks that will be available in day 2. So I don't know why you're going to reach up and get a guy like Deonte Banks or Emmanuel Forbes that, yeah, I like them. I just don't like him in top 32. Like Emmanuel Forbes, 168 pounds. I have some question marks about how he can deal with some physicality at the next level. And a guy like Deonte Banks, he's a guy that the film was probably a day 2 cornerback, tested extremely well. It kind of vaulted him up some draft boards. I saw Paris Johnson available. Paris Johnson is a guy that I love so much. He's my offensive tackle 1. He needs some work in pass protection for sure. But in terms of being a pure athlete and the ceiling that Paris Johnson has, I think it's extremely special. You also get some versatility, right? Took all the snaps at right guard in 2021, then moved out to left tackle in 2022. So you feel good about him still getting used to that tackle spot. But if you want to address Paris Johnson and put him on the interior to start his career, that would also make a lot of sense. But in terms of athleticism, in terms of explosion off the line of scrimmage, Paris Johnson Jr. is the most talented offensive lineman in this class. Combine that with the versatility that Paris Johnson offers you, I think that pick would make way too much sense for the Washington Commanders at pick 16. He's a top 12 guy on my big board. He falls to 16 at a position that's just so important. It makes too much sense. And the pass protection issues, I'm not too concerned about it because he's just too good of an athlete to not figure it out at the next level. And I talk about pass protection issues. He gave up only 1 sack during the whole 2022 season, and that was the last game of the year to Michigan. So I really like Paris Johnson Jr. I think that would be a dynamite pick. Even a guy like Broderick Jones or even Anton Harrison. Pick 47. Is this where you want to address the cornerback, right? You got to wait 50 picks to address it again. So let's take a look at the cornerbacks that are available. And if you guys have been listening to me, you probably know what the pick is going to be. It's going to be Eli Ricks. PFF does not value Eli Ricks the way I value him. You talk about all pro potential at the cornerback position. I've confident like Joey Porter Jr.-esque player. He's 6'2". He's got extremely long arms, and he uses those arms extremely well. When you're dealing with all those big-bodied wide receivers that you're going to see in the NFC East, think of guys like A.J. Brown, you want a cornerback with some size. Eli Ricks has that size. He has that length, and he uses it extremely well. And quite frankly, he's getting pushed on boards, not necessarily for the play on the field, but the lack of being on the field, right? Injured in 2021, transfers to Alabama, has some off-the-field issues. Nick Saban suspends him for a couple of years, or a couple of weeks, I should say. 31.6% completion rate. He's only targeted 19 times, and that's because he was just absolutely locked. He's a walking seatbelt. Extremely smooth hips for the length and size. Eli Ricks, he's a top 40 guy on my big board at 47 at a position of need, an important position when you look at playing other teams in the NFC East. Give me Eli Ricks all day here at 47. At 97, there's a couple ways you could go here. I'm interested to see who's on the board. I'm thinking interior offensive line. If a guy like Olu is there, you take him at center. Let's see who falls here. At pick 97, this is kind of what I mean, though. Like Garrett Williams, Hodges Tomlinson still on the board. Like you have some really good cornerbacks that are still available in day two. So I just don't know if I'm reaching for a cornerback at 16 when there's going to be so many good cornerbacks in day two. It's easily the best position in this draft class. Looking at a guy in Karl Brooks that I know it's not necessarily a position of need, but you look at how Washington plays defense, their personnel, they like to play with multiple fronts. They like to move around those big bodies all over the defensive line. There's no better fit than a guy like Karl Brooks, who, was playing the 5-tech most of the season at Bowling Green, playing outside of the tackle, coming off the edge. Why was that? Because his explosiveness, his bend, for a guy who's 6'4", 300 pounds is different, and quite frankly, was just the best player on Bowling Green. But again, 6'4", 300 pounds, the bend and explosiveness he has, I think will translate to the inside. He's going to be a very, very good pass rusher at the next level. Again, 49 hurries, 23.8 pass rush win rate. Winning on one out of every 4 snaps. This dude was an absolute wrecking ball in the MAC. The question was, will that be able to translate to the next level? Because you're going from MAC play to the NFL play. That's like multiple steps up, right? You're going from MAC to the FBS Power 5 level, then to the NFL level. He goes to the Senior Bowl and looks the part. Like, those hands are powerful. This dude has a powerful lower half. I think it just makes too much sense. And again, not a position of need, but a damn good player and a perfect fit for what Washington wants to do on that defensive line. Pick 118. Moro Ojomo would have been another phenomenal fit. A guy that can play all over. If you passed on a guy like Karl Brooks, Moro Ojomo would have made a lot of sense. Kobe Wooden probably going in that list as well. Pick 118. Andrew Voorhees, man. Olu all day. Olu's a lock to be a starting center at the next level. He was the Remington Award winner at Virginia. Then he goes and transfers to Michigan. I'm a Michigan fan. I watched every single one of his games multiple times. There was no more of an impactful offensive lineman to that Michigan team than Olu. Works on double teams, works up to backers, and especially in the NFL where you saw what Bieniemy asked Creed Humphrey to do at Kansas City, Olu can do all of that stuff in terms of athleticism and playing in space. His power off the line of scrimmage is phenomenal. Basically, why he's falling a little bit is because I don't know if he's an all-pro caliber player in terms of the traits. He's going to be such a good center at the next level. I think at 118, early round 4, you have the ability to pick a starting level rookie. I think you got to do it all day. And again, Paris Johnson Jr., Olu, Michigan, Ohio State, you're still getting a lot better on the offensive line. And that's probably on the offensive side of the ball, at least, the biggest position you wanted to address. 150, I wouldn't mind adding another linebacker. And you go look at the Jamin Davis pick a couple years ago. It just was such a reach. And that's almost another argument why you're not reaching on a cornerback like Deonte Banks, who skyrocketed up people's boards because of how well he tested. I'm not saying Davis is going to be a horrible linebacker at the next level. It's just the film was not a day one linebacker, especially a linebacker and off-ball backer. I think you can – he might need some time to develop. He also just might not be that great. I would not mind adding another linebacker to that room. Let's check who And like a guy like Venture Miller, D Winters, those are two guys that are just so solid. To be honest, that's a little rich right now. I don't think I would take a guy like Venture Miller that early in this class. So taking a look at some other guys available, Bryce Ford Wheaton. We haven't addressed that wide receiver position because it's not necessarily concerned. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. If y'all followed me when I was talking draft last year, massive Jahan Dotson fan. I still am a big Jahan Dotson fan. Bryce Ford Wheaton is special though, and he's a guy that's getting pushed on boards because the production not necessarily massive, right? Only 675 yards, 7 touchdowns. The traits that he has, different, right? 6'4", 220. When you watch his film, it's like, okay, that's a big body receiver who uses his frame and physicality to make plays. Then he goes to the combine, runs a 4.3 or a 4.38, jumps 40 inches, like crazy numbers. They don't make many wide receivers 6'4", 220 that are running that fast and jumping that high with that explosiveness. Bryce Ford Wheaton is one of those guys. You saw a guy like DK Metcalf take a little bit of a hit because he was more of a combine warrior than an on-the-field guy. Trust the traits here with Bryce Ford Wheaton because I think, again, with a guy like Bieniemy, like go use this guy to stretch that field because Bryce Ford Wheaton is truly a special caliber athlete. 193, 215, 233. One of these picks will be a backer. I'm not a huge fan of this off-ball linebacker class, but again, I think you got to get another body in that position. Ventrell Miller here at 193, I can stomach it a little bit more. Again, I don't think Ventrell Miller is very opposite to Davis, right? He has a very solid film. There's just nothing special athletically. I don't think he's going to be an all-pro backer, and that's why you're finding him at pick 193. But you want to get a linebacker who's a veteran. I mean, arguably more experienced than Jamin Davis. He's a fifth-year guy at Florida. I would go get a guy like Ventrell Miller who, if you need him to play in a pinch, I think he can be damn good at the next level. But I don't know if he'll be an all-pro. And again, that's why he's available at round 6. Eric Gray on the board. Ooh. Would you take a flyer on Stetson Bennett? Like, you're bringing Jacoby Brissett. Like, my argument, Stetson Bennett, is like, yeah, I get it. The traits, like, he doesn't have a ton of tools. It's really hard to win 2 national titles at college. Stetson Bennett did it. I don't care if you're surrounded by 5 stars. Like, I still think Stetson Bennett, there's an element of just gamer in his game. I think that would be an interesting pick. And then Malik Cunningham, more of the tools you got that you haven't seen put it together yet. Probably not taking either of them, though. If you're going to draft a quarterback, draft a guy that you think can be a starter at the next level. I don't think either of those guys would be starters. Drake Thomas, I think would be worth the pick. Is Carlton Marshall still on the board? We just took Ventrell Miller, so we're probably not taking Drake Thomas here. I like taking a look at these tackles that can kind of be swing guards and getting another body. I saw a guy, TJ Johnson would be really nice too. Owens would be really good. Let's check what we got in safety. Brandon Hill. Owens from Houston, he's an interesting cat. I liked his game a lot. He's very good in coverage. I think you, and again, I haven't dug deep into his film, but I know he's very good in coverage. He's got very good feeling, good ball skills. Wouldn't mind adding Owens as kind of just a depth piece late in this draft. And I think we're gonna do it. Like, let's go get another rookie quarterback in this draft. And who's it gonna be? Nah, I can't get myself to do it. I'm going to get another guy like Drake Thomas, very similar to Ventrell Miller. He's been all over the field. Like, again, not necessarily traits that jump out, but extremely productive. You see those tackles and assisted tackles. Over 100 total tackles the last 2 years at NC State. I think you settle with Drake Thomas. And, again, I'm interested, the Commanders fans, like, would you take Stetson Bennett? Would you take Aiden O'Connell? Would you take Malik Cunningham? My only pushback against taking those guys is I don't see any of those guys being potential starters at the next level. I think they're probably solid backups in Aiden O'Connell and Stetson Bennett, and then Malik Cunningham more of just a kind of a gadget guy, if you will. I'm not going to take quarterbacks, and because you saw NIL, like a lot of those good quarterbacks like Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Tyler Van Dyke, they were able to stay at school for another year because they're making some NIL money. There's no rush to get to the NFL. They can hopefully bolster their draft stock a little bit more. So after those top 4 guys, like the quarterback class just ain't that great. Taking a look at how PFF grades this year, Paris Johnson Jr. is a B. That's so wild. If you get Paris Johnson Jr. at 16, that's just such a good pick. That's an A in my mind. Eli Ricks, again, PFF doesn't like him as much as I do. I'm a huge fan of Eli Ricks. That's about where I think he should go. Top 50, 47 overall. Carl Brooks, that's just such a good pick and such a good fit for the Commanders. Oluwatimi, eat your vegetables. You're eating your vegetables, getting a damn good interior offensive lineman. Bryce Ford Wheaton, special athlete. You won't find many more Bryce Ford Wheaton fans than me. Ventrell Willer, I always say his name wrong. Owens from Houston, and then Drake Thomas from NC State. Overall, B, again, my favorite pick, probably the Carl Brooks pick at 97. You're getting such a phenomenal player at pick 97. Again, not a position of need, but a position that just makes way too much sense, or a player, I should say, that makes just way too much sense for the Washington Commanders. That'll do it for Commanders Mock Draft. Again, let me know in the comment section what you guys are thinking. And, of course, if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. To support you guys show and continue to show means a lot. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.